Yeah, not the happiest of starts to life in the Premier League for Erik ten Hag. Can you see what he's trying to do at Manchester United? Are there signs of a Ten Hag plan?
Don't look at me.
I think there was for 5 minutes. I think that was about it when they were moving the ball really, really well. And when they went 2-1 down, well, they got the goal to get themselves back into it. They started to play. But when I look at this Ten Hag team, and I did feel for him standing on the sideline, everything's off the cuff. You look at the two squads, you look at Graham Potter's team at Brighton, there's a clear plan there. They know exactly what they're doing, every single one of their players. Erik ten Hag, it's like he's given the instructions, but the players are not taking it on board. I mean, you've got Fred and McTominay, your two holders, they're running all over the place. I mean, the second goal is the one that's criminal because they're both completely out of it. But I feel for him because he's trying to put players in the situation. He's trying to use Christian Eriksen as that false nine to come off and kind of link play, and then use, obviously, Sancho and Rashford as use their pace. That didn't work. Where he goes from here, I honestly don't know. You know the thing is, Kels, is for the last three managers, I'd say the problem has been the midfield. I don't know how someone like Erik ten Hag, who plays good football, good pressing football, good possession football, has waited so long to be able to get midfielders in. It's Man United's problem for many years now, the midfield. You're not going to win games. And, you know, we're here in Brighton, it's the first time they've beaten. I mean, I don't know. That's going to happen.
Ever? At Old Trafford.
At Old Trafford. That's going to happen a few more times to Man United if it carries on like it is, because Man United do not control the game in the midfield because they haven't got midfielders who manage the game and then are able to then impose a Manchester United strategy on the opposition. So they're almost playing like they're going to play on a counter-attack. Then they don't start with Ronaldo. Now, people are talking about Ronaldo, Kels, and what he's doing and disruption. Is he going to leave? They cannot afford to let him leave. I know that he might be playing under duress. He doesn't want to be there. Whatever it is, they cannot afford to let him leave in this time because he will score those goals. What's going to win them certain games? Because if he's not there, last season they're in a massive amount.
Can I ask you a question? It's almost like seems like a heresy because I disagree with you. So forgive me early doors, but I look at Arsenal and Arteta allowed Aubameyang to go because he threatened to undermine his authority and he had to retain that authority in the dressing room. Is it not the case with Ronaldo? I mean, I think, for me personally, I look at the incident last week where he and several other players left the pre-season friendly early, half-time. And it's not so much my opinion, but the framing of the question that was asked to Ten Hag by a Dutch journalist who actually said to him, Ronaldo, you said you're going to impose discipline, and yet Ronaldo does what he wants. He comes when he wants, he leaves when he wants. That was his words. And so you have a perception from outside the club of a manager that doesn't have any authority. So whatever Ronaldo gives you in terms of goals, does he not threaten to undermine that authority in the dressing room?
Well, of course he does. But then you look at the situation that Ten Hag finds himself in, and without Ronaldo, they're not going to score the goals. And then you look at Ronaldo, where's he going to go? You know, if you're going to take Ronaldo, it's not only wages, but it's the circus, it's everything that comes with him, the way he is, the way he's in the dressing room. Who wants that? What other team wants that? So, as much as he wants to go, if it could have been done, then Mendes would have probably been able to do it. So I feel he can't go anywhere because people don't want the hassle that he comes with. So I think that whatever they're going to do, Man United, they've got to make sure they get him on side to score these goals, because when you look at what happened, when he came on, it was a little bit different for them. Let's face it.
But was it different for them because of what Ronaldo brought, or was it different for them because suddenly Christian Eriksen doesn't need to play in that false nine role and he can do what he's been brought in to do and what he's good at?
That's what I think. I think because Eriksen was in that withdrawal role, he could pull the strings a bit more, spray some passes around. I watched him when he was at Spurs and he's done exactly the same things as he did yesterday. I think as far as Ronaldo's concerned, you're absolutely right. He does give them a lot of goals. But if you look at all of the other teams in the top six, none of them would have him in the squad, let alone on the bench.
That's where Man United are right now.
I totally agree with you. I think that they signed him from a position of weakness and they've been saddled with him. They clearly made assurances to him that when he signed that he would play, because otherwise he wouldn't have signed for them. But the problem that you have now is that if you have him in your squad when he does that kind of thing, then you're sending a message out to other people that he can do that kind of thing. And for me, even though in the short term you would lose those goals, you absolutely would, and you would lose that threat. But in the longer term, you would preserve the authority of the manager, the cohesion of the team. You could blood a younger players, because obviously with the money you would save on wages, you could get a couple of other. Benjamin Sesko at Salzburg, for example, a young player that you could maybe give a couple of seasons.
Darren,
Fans would understand
I hear what you're saying.
And maybe move them on. Even if you just pay Ronaldo up. But I just think...
I don't think anyone wants to.
No, don't send him to another club, but just pay him up to go and then just say, look, we made a mistake, but if we are going to build a team... Wayne Rooney made the point yesterday in the Sunday English papers where he said, I would let him go and I would invest in a younger player, because if you look at the other teams in the top 6, they're all teams that are constructing or building for a title challenge.
Yeah.
If you look at United, they're still stuck in the past, and they've had, 10 years of bringing in old strikers. There is talk now, no, not talk, they have bid for 33-year-old Marko Arnautovic at Bologna. Now, what on earth are Man United doing bidding for 33-year-old Marko Arnautovic at Bologna?
With that, they do that. We've seen them do that. Go far back as Erik Larsson from. We've seen how they do that. You know, they've done it with Zlatan. You know what I mean? They've done it with we saw Cavani.
They did it with a great deal of success with Robin van Persie.
They've done it, yes,
but it's the subsequent strikers who've come in. Romelu Lukaku, the youngest of them, at like 24, I think he was when he came in.
And for us, look, people will say, you know, we joke about it. You know, you media guys, you are harsh. But what we're doing is we're doing two things. A, looking at United under Sir Alex Ferguson and the exacting standards of discipline he had. He let Jaap Stam go when Jaap Stam was a little bit too indiscreet. And he said, no, you cannot break the sanctity of this dressing room. And they let him go. You look at the other teams that are building young teams. Sadio Mane, 30 years of age, sold by Klopp to bring in 23-year-old Luis Diaz. Haaland coming at 22, even though they scored 96 goals, I think it was last season. I think Ronaldo is a legend, and I don't think anybody doubts his legendary status. But even though there is a pragmatism about bringing him on, as you rightly say, to score those goals, in the longer term, you are losing that grip on the dressing room that you guys know far better than me is so important if you are a manager.
The only thing I'd say is that you're right in the long term, but Ten Hag might not be in there in the long term. So he's got to think about to himself, I need results now.
Yeah, but if he keeps losing against teams like Brighton, it's not going to be in the short term.
Yeah, I get that, but I guess Ronaldo, and I'm with you, I think with the discipline side of things, I wouldn't allow him to do what he's been doing. But I think for Ten Hag, Martial was injured. If they go into their next game, no centre forward, no one's got any confidence, you're going to have to use them at some stage. You can't have him just sitting there not doing anything. You're going to have to. And I get it, in the long term, it would be better to kind of move him on. But Ten Hag might not be there. He's got to think about the right now.
But if Ten Hag has spent the summer assuming that Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be elsewhere, if the messages that he's getting are Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't want to be at Manchester United, the right offer comes, he's going to leave, and he's making plans without Cristiano Ronaldo, is it possible then for him to start this season with Ronaldo as an option, playing him, and still in the background keep this project or whatever it is that he keep this plan in mind that he has for Manchester United? Can he do both things?
Well, ideally for a club of Manchester United's size, they should be able to do that, because you look at Man United and you mentioned those other teams and they seem to have a plan with the signings. You look at Liverpool's signing, Man City's signing, Arsenal's signings. There seems to be a plan and a structure to where they're signing. Does that player fit into what we're doing? Because if we do get rid of the manager, we've still got players who are playing to this system, because that's how we want to play. The manager comes in and manages these players rather than Ten Hag wants him and he wants him. And now they're getting Arnautovic, somebody who, you know, again, is somebody in a dressing room situation. He's meant to be quite a disruptive, volatile kind of character. And you're coming into that scenario, and you know, if he scores a few goals, then all of a sudden he's going to turn into the guy. Well, they need me. I'm big now. It's you know, I'm confused with Man United's recruitment and everything over the last 5-10 years.
Also, well, right, how was that a rebuild by bringing in Arnautovic?
Exactly.
That's the part that makes no sense.
We haven't even gone into the fact, when's the last time Man United, you know what I mean, and you can't say Rashford at the moment because it's still not quite working out for him. When have they produced somebody out of their academy? You've got City, you've got Foden, Arsenal got Saka, you know, we're talking about Liverpool, Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Elliott and
we're talking about them bringing people.
Chelsea,
When is the last time Man United had a player that's gone on to do something in their When's the last time Man United had a player that they sold to somebody? What is going on there? You know something? It doesn't make me happy to see Man United in the doldrums like this. Especially when I played against them when they was at their pomp. And I can understand with the Manchester United fans how disappointed they will be. People saying they're protesting. They should be protested
Yes.
at the end of the day, the way it's gone. But the fact is, they need to do something at some stage, Darren, where they get it back to ground zero and start building properly.
But I think that thing that they should have done was last season appointed Conte, because they needed to be challenged not just on the pitch in terms of discipline and a tactical structure, but also above as well. If you look at Spurs, where he's gone, he's challenged their transfer strategy.
Yeah.
Certain people have left the club, they've bought players early, they've gone away, they haven't completed it, but he's happy with the squad going into the season. Yeah. The mentality has changed. The profile of player they are buying has changed.
Yeah.
But United
Desperation
themselves. They convinced themselves that Conte would be a problem for them, and I think
more of a Conte than Ronaldo.
Well, exactly. Well, exactly. And I think, as far as he is concerned, I think a lot of United fans will look at him now and say, "Well, look, this is a guy who could have got our players fit." Because you tell me on paper, the Spurs squad are better than Man United. I'm not having it. Second of all, this is a guy who could have got us back into the Champions League.
Yep.
Because United, points-wise, were in a better position.
Yep.
In fact, I think at one stage they were fourth.
Yes.
And he could have led them back into Champions League. That would have made going for high-line players a lot easier for them. And this is a guy who would have challenged the hierarchy's thinking.
That's maybe what they've done, Darren. They don't want somebody to challenge the hierarchy, because the hierarchy can be, for me, easily shown up with a manager of Conte's experience and nous. He's going to show them up for what they are, because he probably comes in, tries to do what he does, they don't do it, and he leaves. He would have left, right? And I'm sure that that's the kind of thing what's happened at Tottenham. Darren leaving. Too many Darrens
Daniel.
in my life. Too many Darrens in my life. Daniel Levy has had to go, right, OK, whatever you want, let's do it. And look at Spurs, quietly, like you said, Dee, gone about their business, and like they're ready for the start of the season. Now you're saying that Spurs will be in and around it. You can't say they won't be, not with him.
How about this for an achievement? Pascal Gross has scored the winning goal against Manchester United 3 times. He scored 6 times against them in 12 games, which is amazing. But it's all about Ten Hag. I think even if the most die-hard Manchester United fan has to accept, it's going to take time.
Absolutely.
Today was obviously a big setback. It's going to take time, though.
It was a body blow, the result and the performance today, for obvious reasons. You don't want first day of the season to be losing when you're at home against Brighton, who are a good side, but you want to pick up a positive result. The performance wasn't there, Mark. So it tells me that he's got a lot of work to do on the grass, on the training ground, to get these players to a higher level. There was too many players like Rashford, Jadon Sancho, etc., that weren't up to speed and quite anonymous in the game. That's the worry.
What did you make of it all?
Well, I was hopeful and I was optimistic and positive, probably like every Man United fan. But, you know, the body of work shows it's, you know, they got a long way to go. And Brighton are a really good side, a well-coached side. And they won the game, deserved to win the game. So I think it's disappointing. I think for United fans, you hope something was going to change, but it's going to take a lot of time. They just got to give Erik ten Hag time and support him in the transfer market.
And well, they opened up too easily, United, in terms of the Brighton goals. Was it too easy for the visitors?
Far too easy. But the thing is, Brighton are a really good passing side, you know, and they find little ways of moving the ball about. But United, out of possession, I thought were one of the worst teams in the league last season. And you just see here, you know, Dallo's there, he's pointing at McTominay, you got to get out to him. But nobody gets out to him. There's too much time for a player like Trossard to pick a pass. That is far too easy. You've got to put some pressure on the ball. First and foremost, that's one of the most important things.
Why does Dallo want his midfield player to do that?
No, he shouldn't.
That's exactly, he should go.
But he's thinking, should I be in the back four? So he stays in there and forcing McTominay out. That's your job.
Yeah.
Get out to him and put a bit of pressure on.
Yeah.
But so that's the first part. No pressure on the ball. Look at Trossard. No pressure on him. I can pick a pass. And Danny Welbeck's playing against Martinez and Harry Maguire. And look at, he's in between the two. Harry Maguire loses sight of him. Martinez, he's trying to hold the line. Danny Welbeck does brilliantly. He ran the two ragged all game. He stays on side. Look at the space that's in behind there. It's far too easy. And once that ball is played in behind there, then it's chaos. Danny does great, gets inside into that little pocket there. But you just see that the numbers that Brighton have, it's 4v3. How can that happen? Where's the two defensive midfield players? Where's Fred and McTominay? Luke Shaw, he's marking 2 players. He's got the one on the shoulder, which you can see, and he's got the one just inside of him that Harry Maguire's not picking up. And basically, he's got to pick his poison.
So he now doesn't know what to do,
He's not sure. He knows both are there. He goes with the one closest to goal, rightly so. But the problem is, the ball goes in at the back post. This goal, this is the one I find really frustrating. This is Ten Hag's philosophy. You're going to press, you're going to get after everyone. Everybody gets after the ball. That's Eriksen nearest to us, nearest to the screen here. And that's McTominay, almost in the centre forward position. They should be swapped. And the fact of the matter is, we know Brighton are going to play, and they want to play. And just watch what happens with one little cheeky back heel from Trossard.
Normally, Owen, that's a scenario where you're delighted to be in.
You're
Press
right.
them high,
But-
don't let them out.
But look at that. You know, United got 5 players up the pitch, and that's how Ten Hag wants to play. He wants to get after people. But the fact of the matter is, once you get beyond that initial press, look at the space that Brighton has. Fred
Midfield is emptied.
Fred is in a pocket against 3 players on his own.
That midfield is
In
emptied.
50 yards, there's 5 up the pitch. It's ridiculous. And once it runs on, Fred's in an awful position. I've got to go put some pressure on the ball, but there's nothing he can really do. It gets played up the line there, and then they're in. Harry Maguire doesn't know whether to go, so he retreats. And, you know, they pass the ball well. They're quite patient. This is what Brighton are really good at. Again, they get numbers in the box. No pressure from Luke Shaw. David De Gea makes a bit of a mess of it, and it's a tap in at the back post. So you can see what he's trying to do, Ten Hag, but it didn't work today. And the problem is, if you don't play well and you make mistakes, you're going to get punished. And that was a learning lesson for him. I'm sure he would have learned a lot.
When he pulls that analysis apart and he looks at that Ten Hag, he'll be so disappointed and fuming. As I said, and Owen said there, how you press the opposition, and it's a scenario where you go, brilliant, we've got them where we want them, let's nick the ball back. And Brighton had it far too easy to get from their own corner flag all the way through the middle, the top end of the pitch, overload, goal.
Yeah. Once
So
they got
much to
out,
look at. So much to
suddenly
look at.
the emphasis was changed, wasn't it? Let's have a word with Chris Foy, former Premier League referee, our friend. A couple of things. Chris, happy new season to you to discuss. Let's have a look at the Scott McTominay challenge first of all. Was this one where maybe a greater sanction could have been applied to the Manchester United midfielder?
I think the interesting thing with this, Mark, is that the referee doesn't give a free kick, and obviously he's got some information from one of his assistants that it's a foul, and he cautions. But when you look at it again, I think, could the VAR have intervened? Well, they obviously felt that there wasn't, enough intensity in the challenge. But let's be brutally honest. If Scott McTominay receives a red card for that challenge, I don't think he can have too many complaints.
Red. It's a red.
Orange, can we have an orange card?
Yeah, one of those that's in the middle.
That's
yeah.
one of them. That's one of them tackles, Mark, where you go in for a 50-50 block, and you know if you go higher and the top end of the ball, you're catching the man on the shin. It's quite dangerous.
Yeah. In your day, though, you would have genuinely you would have got away with that.
That's play on.
That's play on.
Play on.
Skim the top of the ball. On we go. On we go. What about, yes, you've seen that a few times, Chris, I know, nodding your head at Don there. What about the penalty shout? Brighton, and certainly their fans, feel they had a very good shout for a penalty. Martinez's challenge on Welbeck.
Yeah, well, Paul Seeley, the referee, is in an excellent position, and I think had he pointed to the spot and given a penalty, then the VAR wouldn't intervene and that decision would have stood. But as you can see, he was in a great position to make the call. He was happy with the call, with what he saw, and it's very difficult then for the VAR to get involved. And of course, this season, the match officials are working to a higher threshold for intervention. But as I said, quite simply, if Paul, in his wisdom at the time, points to the spot, that decision wouldn't get overturned. That's for sure.
I think it's hard to overturn that. If it had been given, it would have been just as hard to overturn it. What's your view on it?
Yeah, I think you could have easily given it. Danny's not the type to dive anyway. He feels that pressure, and when he feels that amount of pressure, Martinez is new. He wants to, make a statement. Yeah. He's going to be physical. He's aggressive. I thought he was probably a little bit too aggressive. There, you just got to tone it down. But I think Chris makes a great point on both decisions. Whatever they give on the pitch, they would have stuck to, and I think rightly so.
Yeah, I totally agree.